But what do young people actually look for in apprenticeship, and what type of apprenticeship do they do? Let's have a look at the top 10. By far, the most popular type of apprenticeship is a commercial apprenticeship. Having said that, that's actually not just one apprenticeship. There are up to, I think, 21 different professions under the umbrella of commercial apprenticeship. So that could be public administration, insurance, banking, parts of retail, IT professions, etc. So 35% of all students do an apprenticeship in the commercial sector. Another popular one is in healthcare, 14%, followed by retail, 12%. And also caregiving professions are very popular. This could be working with young people or with the elderly. 10% of all apprentices work in that field. IT is another, or ICT is a very popular one among many young people. Electrician with 5% also often chosen. And many students also like to work in supply chain or logistics. Others still opt to become a chef, or they want to do an apprenticeship as draftswoman or draftsman. So those are just the top 10, but in fact, students can choose among 250 different professions. So just imagine that in Switzerland, you can learn 240 different professions as an apprentice. That is quite a lot, isn't it? So as I said before, there are some variations. Usually in the German part of Switzerland, students do the dual in company and in school. However, in other parts of Switzerland, students can also do full-time vocational school, meaning they are not in a company, but they learn their profession in a vocational school. Okay, yeah, what is actually this process looking like? You probably will have realized that at Johnson & Johnson, there are some apprentices, there are young people that you might find in different departments. Some of them might even be doing an apprenticeship in information and communication technologies. That's a very popular one. How do they actually get there? So let's have a look. It actually starts in secondary school, in their second year of secondary school, where students start exploring different professions. There are job fairs, there are exploration and information days at school. Students will go with their teacher to a job orientation center. So there are many, many, many different orientation days and opportunities to explore professions. Also, students then are encouraged to do what is called a taster apprenticeship, a Schnupperlehre, as a first step. That means they will be going into different companies and try to do maybe just 2 days or 3 days and really look into the different areas and try to get a feel whether this apprenticeship or this profession could be the right one for them. Once students have a better idea what they want, they start the proper application process. So that is very much similar to a job application. So students have to write a formal application, they have to sit interviews. In some companies, they even have to undergo assessments. They will be guided by the teacher, but it's quite a challenging, proper application process. Okay, yeah, once they are lucky enough to get an apprenticeship, they will be signing a proper contract, and then they start their usually 3 years apprenticeship. After starting with their apprenticeship, they have different opportunities. So usually, as I'm saying, you do 3 years. And after 3 years, students have a so-called professional diploma, the EFZ. And that really means at the age of 18, they have a proper profession and they can work in their profession. However, an increasing number of students actually is looking to combine their vocational studies with academic studies. That is possible in Switzerland by doing either what is called a university entrance qualification for the University of Applied Sciences, so-called vocational matura or Berufsmatura. This is really a professional high school degree that students can do either alongside their apprenticeship or as an extra year. And once they have their Berufsmatura, they have access into University of Applied Sciences. There they can choose among bachelor and master degree programs in their field. That could be in engineering, or in that case, ICT, or a lot of other professions. Okay, another way of combining vocational studies with academic studies is by doing a so-called advanced federal diploma of higher education. Students do that either alongside their job. In that case, it's around four years, or they do it full-time when 2 years. You have, I think, around 8 different fields of specialization. And once students have their diploma, they either can enter high senior management, or they can access senior management professions, or they can even also go to University of Applied Sciences to do a bachelor or a master's there. So as you can see, there are many flexible pathways and possibilities to combine vocational and academic studies. And yeah, I think this is just one of the many strengths of the Swiss apprenticeship system. So really, it gives young students and young people the opportunity to gain really valuable life skills and work experience in their field. Also, it is quite a good way to try out a career before making really long-term commitments and taking on very high student loans, especially if you're studying in the US, for instance. So I think in Switzerland, you can do vocational training and apprenticeships for a lot of professions that would require a bachelor degree in other countries. And at the age of 18 already, as I'm saying, you have a profession. You don't have to stay in that profession. You can either work and do higher studies, as I showed before, or you can even change profession. So it's really very, very versatile. And I think really the main thing is that it gives students the option to combine vocation and academic studies for careers in senior management. Okay, there are obviously some challenges, especially for international parents, because often international parents are not familiar with the whole apprenticeship process, and they feel they can't really support their children. However, as I'm saying, school and also job centers will support your child in the application process, selection process. So this is not really a main problem. Another thing that sometimes is criticized is that the whole process starts quite young. Actually, at the age of 14, students start looking for apprenticeships and do taste apprenticeships, and they are then in pretty much full-time employment or employment in school from the age of 16 onwards, which is quite young, admittedly. But it does work in Switzerland. One of the other criticisms is that it is becoming very challenging to get into good or so-called good or more popular apprenticeships. So the example of ICT, students really need excellent grades, especially in maths and natural sciences. and often a teacher recommendation or very good results in their assessment tests. So it's really not easy to get into the more popular ones. But as I'm saying, there are 240 different ones to choose from, so students will always find an apprenticeship that they like. Okay, yeah. So this is a very complicated process in a nutshell. If you have any questions on how to get into an apprenticeship, how the system works, how you can support your child, please book an online consultation with me or follow my webpage. I also have blogs on apprenticeships. My webpage is SwissEducationConsulting.ch, and I'm here to help you to make sense of the Swiss education system.